People see me post crazy numbers online and assume I always knew what I was doing, but I didn't. I made a lot of mistakes. Some of these mistakes cost me months, some of them cost me years. Looking back on it, I still made progress, I still got stronger, I still built muscle. But if I knew what I knew now, I probably would have reached where I am now a lot faster. And these are 10 mistakes I made throughout my whole journey, and I'm still making them, obviously, as I learn. But hopefully you don't make them. Now, number one, there's a difference between working out and training. Like for the longest time, I thought if I just showed up to the gym, it'd be enough. Now, granted, when I first started working out, my biggest goal was to lose weight. So obviously, like me just showing up was like half the battle. But there's really a difference because I thought doing the same weight, same reps, same routine, and I'd expect a different physique. But I think there's a quote Einstein made it: doing the same thing over and over again is insanity. So you have to do some type of something different. Otherwise, your body's gonna stay the same unless you give it a reason to change. If you're not getting stronger over time, you're making it harder to grow muscle. Which is why, for me, I feel like anyone who says that you can build muscle without getting stronger is just lying to you because they're like hand in hand. They're like what's a perfect example? It's like pancakes and syrup. Like typically when you have either or like pancakes and waffles. I'm hungry, which is why I made that analogy. But there's a reason why I'm mentioning that. They go hand in hand. So you can't get stronger without building muscle, and vice versa. Now, the next mistake is program hopping. I don't know why that was a tongue twister, but every few weeks, I see someone on Instagram. I'd be like, oh, maybe his play is better. Maybe I need more volume. Maybe I need less. Reality, it doesn't matter what you do. Push pull legs, upper lower, full body. Well, I only like full body, but regardless, the majority of things work. The only thing that doesn't work is if you don't put enough time or effort into it. So for you, whoever's listening to this, you have to figure out what physique, what type of body you want to build. Like for me, I knew one thing I really wanted to do was have get good shoulders and arms. So I'm like, maybe an Arnold split makes sense for me. But that's because that was my goal. So if your goal is you want big legs, like I'm like let's say for example women, right? Typically, most women they do legs. They do legs 3 times a week. You know why? Because they want big glutes, they want big quads, they want big everything. Now for guys, we want the show muscles, which is shoulders, chest, and arms. So they'll do that like twice a week. So the gist of me saying that is it doesn't really matter what you do as long as you're doing something long enough, consistently enough. Now, number three, I probably say not eating enough protein. Like protein, protein isn't everything. I'd argue carbs are more important, but that's a conversation within itself. But for the time being, I'd say protein. Like for me personally, a good rule of thumb, you don't have to follow this, but this is what's helped me so far is like, let's say you're 200 pounds. You want to eat 200 grams of protein. Yes, it sounds like a lot. We could probably get away with 170, but protein is satiating. So, meaning the more you have, granted, that's not an excuse for you to have like 400, but sometimes a little bit extra isn't necessarily a bad thing, especially if you're in a cut or a bulk, which you should just naturally be eating more anyway. But yeah, that's just as important as your recovery and anything else. Now, another thing I'd probably say I was doing too much of is training. I think there was one point in my career where I trained 6 to 7 times a week, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but more isn't always better. Better is better. Meaning, like, if you're not recovering, it doesn't matter what you do because you build your muscles as you're recovering. So, like, if you're not sleeping, like, I think there was a period where I was only getting like 5 to 6 hours of sleep. And yes, I was still working out, but it would be a lot. I probably would have been a lot different if I was getting like 7 to 8. Yes, I know we live in a chaotic world, and most people can afford to do that. But if you can at least consistently get 6 to 7 hours of sleep, you'd probably see a lot more differences in your physique if you compared to if you're getting 4 to 5. So like, especially because like your performance, your fatigue. Like, perfect example is like I'll squat one day and then I'll deadlift another day. If it wasn't for the fact that I was sleeping, I probably couldn't do them so close together. So honestly, like there's a reason why we spend a third of our lives sleeping. That's how important it is for us to just function as people. So if you take anything from this video, you gotta treat your recovery just as important as your workouts. Now, let's say another thing for me is like missing, like ignoring my weak points. Like currently, right now, I'd say my weak points are probably like my lats, my rear delts, my side delts, and I won't put my hamstrings. So I feel like for that, just because like we all have certain body parts that we just naturally grow easily. For me, it was arms. I could do a pull up and I'd feel my biceps instead of my back. But that's just because like we all have certain body parts that just our bodies naturally gravitate towards. So that's more of a reason why you need to make sure you prioritize like your other muscles that don't grow as well. Like for me, I know that's my back. Since like day one, like I will like I can grow like my lower back and get back thickness, but width has always been something to me that's been like trying to do like mental gymnastics. Like it hasn't been easy. So for you personally, like look at yourself in the mirror, or I have someone else look at you and be like, "What do you think I need to work on?" And don't find someone who's just gonna say everything, because obviously you know you should work on everything. But like there's certain body parts that are more obvious that are you're lacking compared to others. So don't ignore your weak points. Like for most people, it's probably your rear delts, your side delts, your upper chest, potentially your lats. Um, Legs definitely for most. It really depends. It's general, but like those are like some just general things that most people don't really work on. I'd probably say like fatigue is like another thing. Like you leaving the gym like crawling or being like you extremely sweat doesn't mean you had a good workout. Like sweat isn't indicative of like having a good workout, or being extremely tired isn't indicative of having a good workout. It's it's really like you like managing your fatigue. It's I don't know how to explain it. It's like you shouldn't necessarily like be so exhausted to the point where you can't come back the next day, unless like you knew for a fact you wouldn't be able to. So you're training. That's a weird one to try to kind of explain, because it's like certain people like our adaptation is different. So you just got to find out what you can handle and what you can't handle. But that one's like a video within itself. So I can't necessarily like put that in like small bullet points that would make sense. But anyway, caring too much about the scale. Like for me, I feel like for to this day, like one of my biggest oppositions is the scale and calories. Because like some people, they're like I know for me, at one point in my career, like I'd eat like let's say a cheeseburger, that's high in carbs and high in sodium. So obviously the number on the scale is gonna go up, and I'd always like feel like I had too much in my head. Now, granted, the scale is still a good reference. I'm not saying to completely disregard it, but I'm basically saying that it's not the end all be all. Like if you know, for example, your waist is getting smaller, your clothes are looking bigger on you, or you feel like you're getting stronger, these are indicative that you're doing something right. That you shouldn't just use the best way I could explain it is the scale's a good reference, but it shouldn't be your only reference. That's the best way I'd explain that one. Now, for another thing is like neglecting technique. Like form is just as important as lifting the weight. If that means you're trying to do 225 on bench, but you're doing it like a slingshot, you should probably go down to like 135 or 185, just so you could properly do form. Because like having good form long term is going to benefit you, because that way you don't end up hurting yourself, right? And if you hurt yourself, the only way you're going to get back is by recovering. Like I know for me, when I hurt myself in February, it took me 4 months to get to even some semblance of what I used to be. Just because like recovery isn't easy. So like just try to make sure like you're like consciously aware when you're trying to do things. Like you shouldn't just be like, I know we all want to be strong, we all want to be like the next Ronnie Coleman and lift all these weights, but we only have one body. We got to take care of it. So like really and truly, like you got to make sure like you're making sure you're doing something to the best of your ability. Now, I feel like comparisons to Thief of Joy for this one, because like I know for me, I see certain people online and be like, oh damn, he has a really great physique, and I'd wish I'd be like, but typically the people you see in person isn't indicative of what like there's 8 billion people on this planet, meaning that like yes maybe a million people have a good physique, but though these aren't people you're going to see on a regular basis. Now yes, you go to certain gyms, you probably would, but let's say 500 people go to that gym, maybe like 40 of them have a good physique that you'd be jealous of. And at the end of the day, you can't compare their chapter 20 to your chapter 3, right? Because maybe your chapter 5, well, I'm not going to say that, but enjoy the journey. Because if you're too busy worried about others, you won't exactly see the journey for what it was. So you should enjoy the journey. Now, I feel like the last one that I'm going to leave you guys with is that motivation is cool, but to build anything worth having in this life, you gotta be consistent. Like the biggest lesson I'd say I probably learned is that like understanding that consistency is everything, right? Like motivation comes and goes. Like there's days where I just want to like lay down and watch Netflix all day, but that's not gonna help me get to my goals any faster. So essentially, I need to make sure I'm doing things regardless of how I feel or when I want to do it. Like I feel like the best way I could describe it is your future doesn't care on the goals. Your future doesn't care on how you feel now. I'm not saying it right, but that's probably how I'd say it. Now, if there's one thing I could tell George when he first started, is you don't have to be perfect. You just have to keep showing up. And hopefully this helps someone, and stay consistent, and probably you made more progress than what I did when I first started working out.